Hey everybody, welcome back to the Calibrate Tools and DIY channel. Glad you guys can make it today, whether you come in now or on the replay. Yeah, I wanted to talk about something that's, I think is very important, especially when addressing the African American community, Black community, as we're called. Um, yeah, there's a lot going on out here, and when it comes to truckers, okay. And that's the trade that I'm referring to in the title, trucking. I was a trucker for many, many, many years, almost 20 years, guys. So I know how it goes out there. I know how rough it can be. I know the lifestyle. It can be a very rewarding lifestyle, if you're a single man, especially, even though I know couples do it, families do it. Um, you can make a lot of money, especially if you're disciplined, but it can also be a very unhealthy lifestyle as well. When you're out there on the road, I mean, you're stopping at truck stops. The food is like, it's just not the healthiest, man. That's why a lot of truckers, they end up at the end of their careers being very unhealthy. Matter of fact, I know of a few truckers that have passed away in their trucks. And I can only attribute that to an unhealthy lifestyle. It's not just the food, it's the long hours, just driving from state to state, especially if you're a long haul trucker. Okay. But I'm not necessarily referring to the food or the long hours. I'm referring to the state of America as it is today and the danger that it poses to African American truckers specifically, because we're not, as a country, evolved to the point where everybody sees past your ethnicity, or sees past your whatever race, skin color, whatever. No, this country is still a deeply racist country, whether you believe it or not, whether you experience it or not. There are pockets where it's extremely, you know, racist to the point where you better not even come into that area if you're not Caucasian or white. And I don't know if you guys ever heard of sundown towns. You should have. Social media has educated us on so many things that we didn't know about. And one of them being sundown towns, right? And sundown towns are areas in the country where you are not allowed to be after dark if you're an African American. Because if you're caught after dark, you will be dealt with. Okay. Chantel Love, how you doing? Shalom, family. Hoping all is well. This is a great topic. Yes. Thank you. I figured I had to address this, considering what's going on and what we see um, happening to our truck drivers, our African American truck drivers, and the threat that they that's posed to them when they're out there on the road just trying to feed their families. Like I said, I was a trucker for many, many years, so I understand. I was a long haul trucker. I've been all over this country, and yeah, I've been through the backwoods. I understand. I've experienced some of these things that these truckers are experiencing. Maybe not to the extent that they have in terms of the intensity of racism that they experience, but I definitely have experienced racism out of nowhere. Just going to a truck stop and just being called the N-word. Like it's like that's my name. Like I was like, man, I couldn't believe it. But I realized, hey, look, I'm not asleep. I understand the type of land that I live in, right? And the mentality of these individuals in this land, certain individuals, I should say. Yeah. So basically, this live is pretty much warning truckers, especially if you're a young trucker, to be careful when you're out there on the road, traveling from state to state. And yeah, you're so excited to be, you be a trucker, right? So you just I'm gonna jump on the open road and just like, and that's what I loved about it when I was in it. This is a beautiful in terms of the land itself, the territory of the United States, North America, very beautiful. The scenery is amazing. So when you're a trucker for the first time and you appreciate the natural beauty of the land, then it can be a very enjoyable experience, right? But there are dangers, just like the ocean can look like a beautiful body of water, right? But in the ocean itself are things that can kill you and devour you in a matter of seconds. Well, metaphorically speaking, it's the same thing when you're a trucker. You're out there in the beautiful expanse of the United States, but you have animals in human form that seek to devour you because they themselves are consumed with hate and racism. Let's call it what it is, right? So you have to be careful. You have to be very careful when you travel these lands, black man and black woman, because you're not loved here. Let's face it, right? And you can disagree with that statement all you want. We understand you have to be African American. You have to be a person of African descent to understand what I'm saying. So this is really directed towards, African Americans. Okay, this live. So if you don't understand that, then you feel free to leave. I'm saying, look, if you're out there in the truck, make sure that in the way this society is right now, especially with this administration, where these people seem to have the green light because the administration itself espouses these ideas, right? You best be armed. You best be armed and ready, okay? Especially if you're a young black man. If you're not a sizable man, and not that size counts, right? Because you can be a big guy, and if you got 4 or 5 dudes coming at you, tackling you, that's, but at least if you're a little guy that doesn't have any size or doesn't have any semblance of or the intimidation factor, right? Which would be height and, maybe some muscles, maybe some weight, right? If you don't have that, then you're like a sitting duck out there, right? They can't wait for somebody like you, a little guy, right, to come driving through with his truck, get off at the wrong truck stop in the wrong town. That's like jumping in a fish, a pond full of piranhas just waiting. Because you have to understand something about evil. Very good life notes here. Let's see. There has been an increase in the attack on African-American men in the red states. Absolutely. Yes. Notice with ICE raids still has not opened to African-American drivers. Yep, exactly. Okay. Chantel Love says, you may not feel comfortable saying it, so I will. White people hate us. And as a group of people, we have to acknowledge and accept this as our reality. This fact is being seen daily on social media. Absolutely. And for those of you who disagree with what Chantel said, matter of fact, I'm going to post her. I'm going to put it right there. I have to agree with her, right? And you as a white person or Caucasian person, because you're really not white, your skin is more like on the pink side. Just like my skin is not black. My hair is black. My eyebrows are black. My skin is brown, but yet you call me black. So these are labels that were put out there purely for political reasons and to, perpetuate the sense of superiority and inferiority based on color and race. This was all made up by racist Europeans back in the day, right? In the age of Darwinism and all of that, right? The age of enlightenment, as they call it. We see how enlightened they are, right? Because look what it produced in the United States, right? Look what it has produced. It's made it possible for me to talk about this topic today. Otherwise, why would I be talking about it if it wasn't like that? Let's see here. So yeah, Chantel says, white people hate us as a group, and to acknowledge and accept is our reality. Absolutely. You have to accept this. Now, those of you white folks that say, well, we don't hate people. Well, you benefit from hate. You benefit from a system that was built on hate. Okay. And so if you are not actively trying to dismantle that system and you're just comfortable in your home because you got 2 or 3 black friends, as you say, you're still part of the problem. If you're not actively trying to dismantle this system, which produces all this tension and strife, because innocent black men and women are being killed, being maimed, being incarcerated, right? And you're comfortable with that, then you are a part of the problem. Point blank, period. Okay. So don't fault us for thinking how we think. We had to go through it, right? We had to go through this, and we're still going through this. I mean, I was looking at a situation, and it's all over TikTok and stuff like that. This truck driver went to this facility in North Carolina to deliver some mulch to this city. I think the name of the company is called TBD Industries, and he was pretty much attacked by a bunch of rabid dogs. I'm talking about the men that were there working there for nothing, right? For nothing. Matter of fact, the driver himself, this African-American driver, had a dog, it's a little puppy or whatever. And I don't know what that's all about big grown men carrying puppies, but hey, that's neither here nor there. And one of the animals, and I refer to them as animals because that's what they are. I don't see them as anything other than that. They slammed the door on this guy's dog. They planted something in his truck to say that he stole something. They even took one of their bulldozers, and I'm just summing it up. You can go online and look for it yourself. They took one of their bulldozers and tried to flip his big rig over. I mean, the audacity of these people to think that this man has no rights at all. This man didn't do anything. And he's sitting up there because he's scared for his life. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. I'm like, what a humiliating experience to have to go through. But then I think about all the other truck drivers that didn't even make it that far. This guy, I don't know if this guy made it or not. But what about all the other truck drivers, and not just truck drivers, but people that were traveling that just never made it out? They were quote unquote unalived by or found hanging in a tree. This has happened too many times. To say that these people committed suicide. How many murders and killings do you have to read about or hear about where the person is hanging from a tree or something like that? One guy by the name of Raheem Carter, he was found dismembered. His remains were all like in different parts of and imagine being a mother having to find out that your son who just made a phone call to you saying that he didn't feel safe, having to find out that he was dismembered. Imagine that, and the killers are just, man, it's just, the things that we as a people have to go through in this country, just to survive, just to make a way. Well, I'm telling you guys, that time is ending. Okay. That time is ending. Okay. Let's see. Even families traveling across the country need to plan overnight stays. Yes, absolutely. Paragould Life Notes. Back in the day, we had to figure out ways. I know everybody knows about Harriet Tubman and what she did, Underground Railroad and all that. But there was a time when we had to plan. We had, I think they called it the Green Book. And this was a book put together by us for places to stop and not to stop, because we live in a hostile environment. You as a white or a Caucasian person, you don't have to think about this stuff. We have to think about this stuff. Okay. We got to think about when our kids leave the house, or our kids got to think about when our parents leave the house. Are they going to be safe, especially if they're traveling on the road? If they're going cross country and all that, trying to enjoy life, take a vacation, take a road trip. Are they going to be safe out there knowing that these animals are out there? Right. So don't blame us for not trusting you. We've been through too much in this country to say that we trust you completely. We would be idiots to say that we trust you, because we know nothing really has changed. And just by the incidents that's happened, whether it's police brutality or police killings of innocent African Americans, Hispanics, or whoever, right? That's not Caucasian, but especially us. Why should we trust you guys like that? No, we have to be extra careful. We have to take precautions. Okay, because we know what we're dealing with here. All right. Absolutely right. Caucasians are what and who they are. I feel you on that, Chantel, for sure. Until this country changes, which I doubt it will, we're not going to change our mind. We have to survive. We have to protect ourselves. So miss me with the attitudes. If you don't like what we're saying, the hell with that. Go somewhere else. tuck your tail between your legs and cry about it, because we're not changing. We're going to protect and fight for our folks. Okay. So keep on doing that stuff. If it applies to you, then it applies to you. Very Good Life Now says, also the perpetrators are not held accountable for their actions. They're not. That's a song as old as time. These people they do what they do because they know they're going to get away with it, right? And especially with this administration right now, they're extra emboldened to enact their vile and evil ways upon us. Okay. Chantel says, the thing is, they still think they own us and feel we need to know our place. Well, that's sad that if they feel that way, because they're gonna have a rude awakening. But I understand what you're saying, though, because I remember I was working at a nonprofit maybe a couple of years ago, and one of the guys I was working with, he was like a redneck guy, and I was talking to him one day, and he said to me, he told me about some stories in the past where in another state where he lived, where he had some black folks moved into his neighborhood and they seemed uppity. They had this uppity type of attitude, and that, what he would do to them, pretty much they'll take care of him. Literally, he'll go take care of them with his boys, and they won't be uppity anymore because they didn't know their place. Yeah. These people still exist. You work with them. Some of them, they can even be your friends. Okay. Understand this, and be prepared, guys. This type of mentality is deeply ingrained. This type of mentality is deeply ingrained. Okay. And you're not going to just try being nice and being friendly is not going to root that out. Okay. They're police officers, they're judges, they're lawyers. Okay. They just exchange the hoods for robes and police uniforms, and whatever else. Okay. But all you gotta do is, every other day, like I said on another video, on another platform, every other day I get on the platform and I hear some racist incident happen, and it's not our fault, right? It's always them. It's always them starting something or trying to assert their false sense of superiority upon you. But when it backfires, guys, when it backfires on you, don't blame anybody else. So I think this country is a powder keg. And I'm not trying to, push any negative thing to happen, but don't be surprised if it does, guys. Don't be surprised if it does. People have had enough, people are tired of talking. People are tired of crying about it. People are tired of praying. People are tired of all that stuff. You might as well just, it's not like that anymore. You have people are not afraid anymore because there are limits, right? There are limits. And I understand, you may, the white population, Caucasian population in this country is very afraid. And this comes from their own mouths, to lose what they have. But what they have is built on the oppression of others. In other words, in order to maintain or maintain the structure that they have, the privileges that they enjoy, racism has to exist for them. If racism wasn't there, then everything crumbles for them. So they have to uphold it, whether it's passive aggressive racism, that they pretend like they're your friend, or they're trying to help you, like the Democrats or whoever else, Republicans, or whether it's blatant racism, like the story I just told you about this trucker. They have to uphold it, right? They have to uphold it. Every law that was put in place was based on the oppression of the black man in this country, and the black man and woman. The black family was made sure that it was fragmented and broken up. Okay? Because a strong black family is the biggest fear that they have. What was this? Jay Shaw. Is this video live? This video is live right now. Jay. Chantel, what's she say? And these are the people, athletes, and multimillionaires decide to marry when they arrive. Yeah, when they quote unquote arrive, right? And that could be a whole sham itself, you know. Let's say Chantel Love. This is spiritual. It's a spiritual war between the two nations, and began in the womb with Esau and Jacob, which still exists today. Yeah, to this day. You know, if you guys, if you are a scholar of sorts of history, she's referring to some biblical references, right? And you guys can. That's a whole nother conversation, but you can dig into that yourself. But whatever it is, guys. Okay, whatever the source of it is, doesn't matter. It's, you pretty much declared war on the African American community from day one. And we tried, we tried to do the right, adapt. Matter of fact, when you didn't want us around because of segregation, we built our own towns and cities, right? Prospering towns and cities. Guess what you came and did? You bombed them, you burned them, you drowned them. Tulsa, Oklahoma, that's one of the most popular ones. Oscarville, what's that one? Lake Lanier. That's a lake. You ever heard of Lake Lanier? Well, underneath there was a black town. I live in Los Angeles, California. There's LAX airport about 10 minutes from me right now. Guess what LAX airport sits on? It sits on another thriving black community. That's what, yeah. Wilmington, North Carolina. I mean, you can go on and on. And then you have the nerve to turn around and say the black community is they don't do anything. They're lazy. Well, look what you did to them. You persecuted them to the point of you dropped drugs in their community. You try to destroy them. Your own presidents called them the N-word in public. Okay? So you can't tell me anything. You can't tell me a dang thing about my people, okay, and what they had to go through, and the fact that we're still here surviving and doing what we can do and still having to deal with animals. All right. Jay Shaw said, I'm a truck driver and will defend myself at all costs, rather be judged by 12 than carried by 6. Absolutely. All right. Need some real men out here, man. J. Edgar Hoover, the former director of the FBI agency, said the biggest threat to America was black unity. Did you guys see that? Matter of fact, let me put that up there. This is what your former president, J. Edgar Hoover, said. The former director of the FBI agency said the biggest threat to America is black unity. Yeah. And that's it right there. That sums it up right there. That's why you do what you do. Right? But understand something. You're not going to destroy us. We're always going to thrive. We are the first human beings. Matter of fact, every other culture comes out of our DNA. So actually, you hate your father. That's what happened. You hate your father. Okay? Maybe we disciplined you so bad in the past. Now you're mad. You're resentful. I don't know, man. But you're damn sure. You're damn sure letting it show. You're damn sure letting all that resentment and hate show. But it only makes it stronger. Yeah. So yeah, like I said, if you're a truck driver, or you don't have to be a truck driver, understand that these pockets in the United States are not friendly to you. If you're an African American, even if you can be another culture as well. They don't like you either. So if you think you are immune to this, nah, they don't like you either. So, but especially the African, my folks, be careful out there on the road, especially if you're a trucker. I did that trade for like many years. I respect the trucking trade. Did a lot for me, but I understand the dangers of it, right? It's not all peaches and cream. You're just sitting in a truck. Nah, man, you're going to be going through some areas. Okay. That's the dark side of it. So just let that be a warning. If you're looking to get into it, it is one of the most dangerous trades to get into, in my opinion. Right now, we are the Most High God's chosen people on, in the Bible, the Israelites were the most hated nation on the earth at that time. We were then, and we are now. Yes. And if you disagree with that, try walking in our shoes. You know what I mean? Anyway, guys, I appreciate you listening. If you got something from me, please pass it on. Thanks for coming on. Chantel, Perry, your life notes. Jay, be careful out there. I'll see you guys in the next one.